In a prior video we learned about property schemas, and in this video I want to show you a few advanced features of property schemas. So at first you learn something like this. You just pick a field here. I created two schemas in this project called employee and new employee. And let's say you want to take the tax ID, you do promote and then quick promotion, and it says we'll add a property schema for you. So this is just to recap what we did earlier. You now see it's a promoted field, and you see that it created a new schema over here called property schema, which you can open. And now you can see the field that we promoted is called tax ID, and there's always this dummy field that we learned that you can delete. Okay, so that's our property schema. But let's show let's show you a reason why you might want to do what we're talking about in this chapter here, this video. So that was new employee, was called tax ID. But suppose we have another schema where instead of calling it tax ID, they called it SSN. If you did a quick promote here, it would actually create another field in the property schema called SSN. But let's suppose you wanted to actually connect it to the same tax ID. So what you do is you say promote and you say show promotions, and then over here again you have distinguish fields, which we can only use in orchestrations, and we have property fields. And it says no property schema has basically been attached yet to this schema. So you click here. Actually, you click on that little browse symbol there, and then you come and you pick the property schema you want. And right now it's called this. Okay, so now we have a reference to it. And now you pick SSN and say add. And so what it does in this little box, see, it's building an XPath to the field, or it's called SSN, Social Security Number, which is in this schema. But then in this little box you'll get a list of all the fields in your property schema. So when you're using this technique, what it allows you to do is basically sort of bind one field name in a schema to a different field name in your property schema. Notice also it still has property 1 here, and I actually did get rid of that a few minutes ago, but I never did a build. So let me just cancel this for a minute, recap that. So here I got rid of property ID, but it still showed up. So if we come over here and do a right click build on our project, now I go back to this schema and I say promote. We're going to have to go add our schema again here. Okay, now we say Social Security Number add, and you see that now the property ID no longer displays there. Okay, so the other thing you can do is you can actually come in here to your property schema and you can add your fields yourself. So for instance here, what if we wanted to have zip code? Let's suppose we want to call it postal code. Okay, and then you can also set the type as string or numeric. And I think we showed in another video that this is a common mistake, is that if you change a field in the schema from, for instance, from string to, for instance, integer, and then you don't change it also to integer here in the property schema, you can get runtime errors. So your data type should be the same. So here we have postal code as a string. So I'm going to save that and go ahead and do a build again so that it will show up on my list where I can choose the field. So we'll come over here and notice here we have something called home zip code. So we want to promote that. Go to property fields, click add, and then you'll see tax ID and postal code. And it tries to be slightly intelligent here. What it will do, I believe, is it says, well, for instance, tax ID was already used. Let me remove that for that line. So when I clicked home zip code add, no, it actually did display tax ID, which is kind of stupid. So what it does is it says, show me all the fields in the property schema that have the same exact matching data type. So let me give you one more example here. Let's go back to property schema and let's add an integer here. Let's say date started, just some other totally unrelated field, and then we'll give it a date time data type. Then we'll do a build on that again. And now we'll come over here and say promote, show promotions, properties. Now we're going to say add. Okay, I thought maybe it would actually say date started wouldn't appear in this list because home zip code is not in the formatted date, but it's not even that smart. So here you have a list of all your fields and you have to pick home zip code would be a postal code. Then we can go to our other schema, and here we call it zip code. We'll also promote. And this is another little thing this is showing you. Actually, you can have more than one property schema if you wanted. Okay, I don't have that yet. Sorry, we'll show that in a minute. So zip code, add, and then pick postal code. So if you were to ever reference this in orchestration, you would say message name, parentheses, and then you in the parentheses you'd have the fully qualified name with postal code, not zip code. The last thing I'll show you here is you can actually add. I'm going to hit here add new item slightly off your video, and I'm going to pick schemas, and notice you do have the ability here to add your own property schema. So you call this special properties, and again it always defaults to this one dummy field here. So actually, instead of deleting it, let's rename it, and let's call this city. Okay, and we'll do a build on this project. Then we'll go back to this employee, and you notice we have city here, so we want to promote that to the city that we just created. So we go to property fields. Now notice if I add it here, there is no city in this property schema. Okay, so we want to remove that. We want to add our new property schema called special properties. Okay, then I want to add city, and now notice you see NS0 and NS1. It gave a dummy prefix here, which you could, I think you could change. You could call this special if you wanted to. Shouldn't have hit enter there. So now you see the word special, and now if I go to city, sorry, we've got to remove this again, and then say add. Now you see the word special city here. So that tells you which schema you want to promote it to, and so you can actually have more than one promoted schema. So that gives you an idea a little bit more of what you can do with the special schemas called property schemas. They are regular XSDs, however they also have special entries in them right here. Let's show you. So right here it's got the schema info schema type is property. So that's a special signal to BizTalk that this is a special type of schema. And these are called annotations, basically, that BizTalk can insert its own annotations inside the legal W3org schemas if it wants to further qualify what kind of schema it is. So in this video we've created two property schemas, and we've shown how you can promote fields in different schemas to the same property name in a property schema by doing things just a little bit more manually. Instead of using the quick promote, which we used earlier, we use the show promotion, and then we come over here and we manually select the right schema and the right field name.